dickhead.
What is happening? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take these new Evolve HADEAN boards for a cruise and see what they're like. So I made it to Queensland for this race. It has been called off, which is a shame with COVID and the border shutting. It is what it is. It's no one's fault. It's just what happens. So today I'm going to go see Maddie and Nick and take these new HADEAN boards for a ride. I'm going to take this DIY because it's very similar spec. It's a 12S3P, so it's slightly smaller battery and very similar size motors to the new board. Who knows, this new board, it might shred, it might absolutely kill this thing. I've got a couple other bigger boards in there, just so you guys that are really into DIY can get a feel for what sort of power it's got and how much of an upgrade it is compared to the GTR. I'm curious, see what it's like, and yeah, we'll head over to HQ and say good day. I want to say a huge thanks to the guys at Evolve for taking time out of their day to get us out there on these boards and take us for a rip. First up, we headed out to this hill. It is quite steep and it goes for roughly about 250 meters. It is just a good hill to do some testing. So I brought a couple of my DIY boards. That blue DIY board that you seen at the start of the video wasn't quite running right. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do too many tests on that. So I pulled out my board that I was going to race with, the Apex board. Now it has slightly smaller motors than the Evolve, but it still beat the Evolve up the hill slightly. It was very close. Very good power coming out of these new boards. Here we had a good 10-minute drift session in the grass, full throttle slides, mucking around. I'm 100% sure the GTR would have been in overheat protection mode 2 or maybe even 3 times by now, so it's definitely a big upgrade. All our motors were only warm to the touch, none were even getting close to being hot. Yeah, how'd that happen? Up until this point of the ride, everything was going so good. These HADEAN boards actually feel really good. Most average e-skaters out there, it is going to be more than enough. The torque is really good. The speed is a little bit on the lower side, but it is still kind of in that safer zone and really manageable on double kingpins. The other thing is, now that it has plenty of power, you can always change up the gearing for that higher top speed, and you're still not going to have overheating motor dramas and things like that.
Just doing a bit of vibration test. Yeah.
So the Carbon AT would probably be my go-to everyday ride. It is super comfy on the 7-inch ATs, but also super stable with that really stiff deck. And after riding the bamboo and the carbon and all of us swapping around, the carbon AT was also Tara's favourite. So she's a very beginner to intermediate rider and she felt most comfortable on the carbon as well. Now don't get me wrong, the bamboo AT is a very nice ride, especially if you're just in it for the carve and the comfort. It is really nice and it actually looks really good in the flesh as well. I was surprised at how good that thing looked. For the street ride, I'd definitely go the bamboo. Having that little bit of flex on the bamboo on the street wheels is really good and it actually felt really nice sliding it. You could definitely feel the added weight and it actually helped for those 4-wheel slides. Really enjoying the slide on that as well. Everything was going so well until it wasn't.
Dickhead.
So as you've seen, I've been to the hospital. I'm now cutting around on a crutch. Thankfully, nothing is broken. Doesn't look like anything's cracked or fractured, which is really good. So I've just got to stay off my foot for a week or two. It is just so painful. I can't put any pressure around the heel. It's just so tender. Now I'm sure you're all dying to know what happened. I was coming full throttle down a hill. The remote vibrated in my hand. I went for the brake and there was no brakes. The input had disconnected from the board. The board was still powered up, but I had no brakes. I was gonna try and ride it out. The pathway got skinnier. I was trying to aim for my exit with no brakes, going really quick. This little kid on a balance bike has come out onto the path. I just had to bail off the board before I took him out. The last thing I wanted to do was hit a 3-year-old kid. So I've just tried to start foot braking. That only worked for a second until my foot hit the tire and it spat the board sideways. And the board went flying onto the street and I went running down the pathway. I didn't actually hit the ground, which was a bonus, but I've just busted my foot a bit. It doesn't seem to be too bad, so I got away with it really well. Really scary. These boards that we're riding, they're pre-production boards. You know, they obviously explain that they're using old connectors with new connectors, but they'd been working all right. They connected the board back to the diagnostic app at the workshop and they had said it had logged the fault and they were gonna send it back to their engineers, and I'm sure they want to keep whatever happened behind closed doors. Like, you know, this is very dangerous and could have been a lot worse, but when we ride these boards, this is just what happens. It was pretty scary, just something I wasn't expecting. The board was going really well. All of them were. We're only a couple Ks back from the car and this freak accident happened. Just, yeah, remote vibrated, disconnected, had no brakes, and just had to do my best to get out of a situation and not hurt anyone else or myself too much. So I think in the end, it worked out pretty good considering the circumstances. I probably shouldn't have been going quite so fast where I was. I was completely under control, and if the brake worked fine, you know, there was no issue, but it was just a whole bunch of things that happened at the wrong time and it wasn't so good. I am so glad that Tara wasn't on the board. She is not used to running off boards like I am. Like, I ride a lot of sketchy boards and, you know, that I'm experimenting with and stuff like that. I'm always ready for a crash or to start running or to foot brake. It just all went wrong really quick. Nick from Evolve in the tech department, he was following me and he come up right behind me and said, "What happened? Are you all right?" I handed him the remote and it was still disconnected. They were in shock. I was in shock. I couldn't walk straight away. We're only a couple of Ks away from the car, so I just jumped on my board and just had all my weight on my front foot and just very relaxing cruise back to the car, taking it very easy. Could have been a lot worse, and yeah, like I said, I'm just glad Tara wasn't on that board when that happened. And yeah, I don't want to be the one shitting on Evolve now. I know they've got a lot going on with these patents and the price of the new board and everything, but this was my experience. I want to be honest. I didn't want to not say what happened, and I know there are a lot of YouTubers out there that just every story is rainbows and sunshine, where I really just wanted to share the truth, what happened, no bullshit. And yeah, Unfortunately, it was just a bad situation. A few bad things happened, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna have to leave it there. As always, a massive thanks to my members. Love you guys, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.